Drivers, start your engines!
This is MRN Motorsports Monday. One full hour of news, interviews, and opinion about the past weekend's racing action.
Pace car's turning off. Be ready.
Now here's your hosts, Woody Cain and Joey Meier.
Green flag, green flag.
Race 1 of the Challenger round of the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup is in the books, and the winner is Denny Hamlin. Shocking. Joe Gibbs Racing does it again. They are now 1, 2, 3, 4 in the standings. We also had Camping World Truck Series action. Surprise winner there. No, not really. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And a first-time winner in the Camping World Truck Series, John Hunter Nemechek, won. He will be on the show a little bit later on, as will Denny Hamlin's crew chief, Dave Rogers, to tell us about the weekend at Chicagoland Speedway. My co-host, Joey Meier, always says when people get mad afterwards, that must mean it was a good race and we had it to start the chase.
It was interesting. It was interesting for Sunday, absolutely. Use the old strategy to spin out first, second lap, come back and win the race.
That's a thing?
Yeah, it has to be. We saw it years ago in the IndyCar Series, spin and win, right?
Yeah.
Now we have it in the NASCAR Series, spin and win. So showing up here on a Monday to talk about these three races was a great weekend. Rocking my Cooper Standard shirt.
How about that?
We got Austin Terrio in the last 8 races of the BKR truck, so that's why I'm rocking the shirt. Looking forward to those. We had a good weekend, good race. Doubleheader on Saturday after the rain.
And you were on air with us at Motor Racing Network for the big Xfinity Series
evidently,
race.
they're trying to up their standards on Saturday's color commentary. So, so I got to sit in the booth with Joe and Jeff. That was awesome opportunity. So we had a lot of fun with that. But what great racing. You know, unfortunately, the Chicago racetrack will get put in that dilemma because it is a standard 1.5 mile racetrack with the old 2015 configuration. It hasn't had the opportunity, which I believe, honestly, a year from now we're going to see a different configuration for that racetrack. But it is the standard configuration. It's hard to pass. Track position's critical for all 3 series. But faster cars could come from the back. As we saw, Denny Hamlin was able to start in the rear twice.
Yeah.
Because after a poor...
It takes a while, but you can do it.
Exactly right. After a poor qualifying speed on Friday, qualifying's rained out, so he qualifies 29th.
Yeah.
Spins on lap 2 and still able to win the race. So it's not that you can't pass. It's just it's very difficult. And your car has to be exceedingly faster or a little faster than the guy, and you have to work on him. Several guys got into it. Jimmy Johnson, 6-time champ. Kevin Harvick, our reigning champ, had some words post-race. Again, hard racing. It means a lot. We have to get through these first 3 races to get that next round. And some of the intensity was showing up very early on.
And now the defending champion is last of the 16 drivers in the chase and has his work cut out for him as we get set to head to New Hampshire this weekend.
Yeah, essentially you have to be above. You got to be in the 12th spot after we race Dover. And right now Kevin's in the 16th spot. But the biggest issue he has to overcome is the number of points that he lost because every other driver did really good. Even as bad a day as Paul Menard had and Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer and Menard and McMurray, those guys still had okay days. So you got a 17, close to a 20-point gap that he has to make up. And it's going to be difficult. He's going to have to win, either A, win a race, or B, have a group of guys not run so well. And so now you're eliminating some of your good opportunities for those guys. He was the race favorite. He showed dominant speed running that high line, 2 to 3 tenths quicker. As our engineer said, he was chasing the gray, which means he's always trying to find an area of clean. And when he did, he was exceedingly fast.
And that's the issue. They've been fast everywhere for 2 years almost now, and they're coming into some of the tracks where they're really good as well. But you do have a little bit of extra pressure now because of those numbers and the math. And as you mentioned, it's not you can almost hope one guy has some problems in front of you if you're trying to catch him, but to hope 3, 4, 5 guys maybe have trouble, that math is not so good.
You know, we saw it last year. He wrecked at Martinsville, was wrecked at Martinsville, and still was a champion at Homestead. Brad, we had to win Talladega, and we did.
Yeah.
We had a failure the following round issue that we didn't allow us to see your chances. You can only take so many mulligans.
Absolutely, and now that mulligan is gone for the 4 team, but leading the way, 4 Gibbs cars. Kenseth on top by 2 points. Carl Edwards in third, 3 points back, tied with his teammate Kyle Busch, 3 points out. Then Kurt Busch is in 5th, who had a strong day yesterday as well at Chicagoland Speedway.
Yeah, when we get to Homestead, if we can't be in the chase, let's say we can't as a group, whether it's the 2 or 22, It's going to be really cool if all 4 Gibbs cars could be there.
Running intra-team championship
yeah.
battle at Homestead.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. But, again, the Xfinity car, we have the 2 top Gibbs guys running first 2 all day long, put on a heck of a show. The lap cars get in the way there at the end. Matt Kenseth had some humorous comments with a old-time movie reference of Clyde Torkel. For our listeners at Clyde Torkel, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Google him. It's a great movie, by the way, with Clyde Torkel.
Yeah, chicken suit and all.
Yeah. So Clyde Torkel reference with Matt Kenseth, and then the truck race. I was in the booth or on the roof of the truck race spotting. I could not keep up.
Yeah.
Could not keep up of the last 10, 15 lap sequence of who was leading, who was out of gas, who had to pit, who was going to make it, what was going on. It was an extremely exciting race. Looking forward to talking to John Hunter here in just a little bit.
Interesting tidbit there. He won his first truck race 16 years to the day after his dad, Joe Nemechek, won his first Cup race. So what are the odds of that?
What you're saying was John Hunter was 2.
John Hunter was 2.
He was
exactly
2.
Right.
So that was a quick way around of saying he's really young right
because
now.
he's 18 years old
18
now.
18 years old now.
How about that?
So that's a good, awesome feat for those guys. Again, father-son winning in the NASCAR division is a rarity, to begin with. So the fact that he did it 16 years to the day gives you an idea of how long Joe Nemechek's been in the sport. Was very successful with a number of teams, and now John Hunter on those guys, which is owned by Joe Nemechek, a team desperately looking for funding to try to compete on a full-time basis. This will help.
Yeah, wins definitely cure all. We'll see if that works its way onto the side of the car, on the side of the truck, rather, for the sponsor-wise, somewhere down the road.
Yep.
On the Xfinity side, Kyle Busch wins again.
No way.
Led 102 laps. Also, Matt Kenseth, a strong run there. Imagine that, another Gibbs car with a strong run. He led 84 laps, but a real good run for Darrell Wallace Jr. Bubba comes home third there, and Chris Buescher leads the standings by 25 over Ty Dillon, 28 over Chase Elliott.
Yeah, 2 drivers took chances at the end and stayed out during a pit sequence with Darrell Wallace and Brian Scott, and it paid off for essentially Darrell Wallace the most. Brian Scott ended up falling back with this tire strategy. Darrell Wallace stayed out and was able to maintain track position. Again, track position was important, but your car had to be good enough to stay up there, and Darrell Wallace drove a good enough race. Again, the big R next to his name, and him and Daniel Suarez fighting, two rookies in the top 10 shows you exactly where the strengths of those teams are.
Absolutely, they are. Now, back to the Cup side, we mentioned getting out front and Denny Hamlin coming from the back a couple of times. To me, that last move he made where Dave Rogers, as crew chief, who will join us a little bit later on the program, chose to leave him out with no tires and a lot of fresh tires behind him. To me, it still shows you that in spite of everything we've talked about and all we've done to try and make it better, clean air on that nose is still king.
Well, what it also shows me, and I'm curious to see what Dave has to say later on about it, but were they only going for a win, or were they looking at just getting in a better point situation? Because understanding that, again, points matter for these first couple of races. You don't have to win to move on. There's 16 drivers. 12 move on.
You got to beat 4 of them.
You've got to have more points than those other guys. So if you're taking 15th, 18th, 20th place driver and you leave him out, with a decent car, those guys ran good all day long.
Yeah.
Just track position was their enemy after spinning at lap 2. They were going to move up and pass people a whole lot easier under yellow by just staying out. So not only it looked like they were going for the Hail Mary win, but I think they were going to be happy with a top 5.
Right.
So it'll be curious to see if Dave can confirm that. But that's they were in a shell back in a corner. They had nothing to lose either way.
Yeah.
A good points day, which NASCAR, they hate that. That's a terrible. It's a good points day.
Yeah.
But it does. It really matters. We saw this last year. Ryan Newman put the template down. Not one win all year long. He raced and finished second for the championship at Homestead.
And darn near easily could have won the championship for sure.
Yes.
As we mentioned, a big show coming up for you today on Motorsports Monday. We will have Dave Rogers, Denny Hamlin's crew chief, along to explain how things went at Chicagoland Speedway. Obviously good, but he'll tell us the hows and the whys along the way. We'll have our on-track, off-track segment as normal. We'll take your questions on Twitter at MRN Radio. Mine is at WI Cain. Joey's is at 2 spotter. Just use that hashtag AskMRN so we can find your question. And next, we will talk with a first-time winner in the Camping World Truck Series. John Hunter Nemechek is up next.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Waking up to smells of burnt rubber, smoldering campfire, and barbecue sauce. I was there, cheering on the drivers you love and booing the ones you don't, while watching them battle the baddest track in NASCAR. You can bet I was there. Escape reality for a weekend at Talladega.
The chase for the Sprint Cup returns October 23rd through 25th. Call 1-877-GO-TO-DEGA for tickets. This is more than a race. This is Talladega.
Hey, I'm Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Coming off turn 4, 18-year-old John Hunter Nemechek sees the white flag as trucks are running out of fuel all around the racetrack. Let's follow John Hunter back to turn 1.
The money is not in the bank yet for John Hunter Nemechek. He needs to complete this final lap. He is at speed, under power, on the backstretch for the final time. It's John Hunter Nemechek heading for 3.
Unchallenged is John Hunter Nemechek off the end of the Brant backstretch. Here comes Nemechek to the inside of turn 3 and 4, under power and looking for his first win in the Truck Series.
He can coast it home from here, off 4, coming back to the stripe and the checkered flags. John Hunter Nemechek is a winner in NASCAR as he runs it apparently out of fuel, but he had enough to cross the line, and John Hunter Nemechek is a winner here this afternoon at the Chicagoland Speedway. The celebration is on down on pit road. Steve Post.
Included in the celebration is one proud father, Joe Nemechek. Your boy did it. Congratulations to you. What do you think right now?
Incredible run. We had a problem there. The Romeo window came loose. We had a hubcap come loose, and we pitted, got gas and we needed. He did a great job saving. I just can't thank Chevrolet enough, all the people that have helped us. It's just an incredible day.
There you go. Joe Nemechek, very proud after his son, John Hunter Nemechek, wins his first ever Camping World Truck Series victory at Chicagoland Speedway in the SWM Nemco Motorsports Chevrolet. And he joins us on the guest line now. John, as such a grizzled veteran at 18 years of age, how'd you manage to save all that fuel, dude?
That's a good question. I don't really know. My crew chief, Jerry Kenton, just kept telling me to save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. He never told me how short we were. We ended up being 4 laps short, and I saved enough to make it to turn 4 and coast from there.
Amazing feat when you look at just trying to get to victory lane in any series, let alone a new startup team that your dad is a big part of, obviously. Underfunded, looking for sponsorship. The side of the black number 8 truck needs some decals on it, and this has to help. But what I want to start with is the weekend as you approach Chicagoland, not racing essentially for a points championship, but really trying to get experience and show everybody what the team's made of. When you got to Chicago, what efforts or issues did you have?
Yeah, when we got to Chicago, I actually went and tested there the week before, so we had a little bit of experience under our belt there. Just those rookie tests can help, but we were single car runs all day while we were testing. So when we got there, it was a little bit different drafting. There was a little bit of miscommunication when we first arrived, unloaded the truck, and got on the track drafting-wise. I mean, we were just really tight in traffic, and we worked on it all day. We figured that we were going to have a good setup for the night, but when it came to the day race, when it rained out, we were a little bit worried to try and figure out what we needed to do adjustment-wise, and we didn't go enough there at the start of the race, and we took some pretty big swings at it, and then it ended up working out.
You got a little bit of time there before all the rains washed everything out. We need to point out this was a Saturday morning race, originally scheduled to be a Friday evening race. How did that change the track with all the rain washing the rubber off and then going in the morning versus going at night?
Yeah, during the morning practice, just even going back to the test, it's really, or I should say it's tighter during the day, and the track tightens up, and when the sunset falls and we're underneath the lights racing, it gets really free. So we had our truck pretty tight for the night. We kind of ran that in first practice there, and we were really tight behind people, just couldn't get off the corner, and we were getting killed down the straightaway, yet we were still up in the speed chart. So we kind of took that into our hands, kind of knew what adjustments we were going to make if it ended up raining out. But it was still all a guessing game.
Yeah, chatting with John Hunter Nemechek, winner of the truck race in Chicagoland. You're kind of an unusual situation in the fact that you're surrounded, extremely young driver, by the way, 18 years of age, but you're surrounded by an enormous number of years of experience. Jerry Kennan, longtime crew chief. I got the privilege of working with him over at DEI. He's been around for a long time, a lot of valuable knowledge. And your dad, not only your dad, but the owner of the team. Who do you rely on more, Jerry Kennan, your dad, or the owner?
I'd say it'd have to be more of Dad. Say he plays the owner role and the man that I work for in the shop every day, kind of that role, the boss man, each weekend that we go to the racetrack. But he's also a mentor. He teaches me a lot. He gives me a lot of feedback when we're at the racetrack, whether it's adjustment or how the truck looks, or I can even go up to him and ask him, hey, if we do this, what do you think it's going to do? So he's a great help on that. Jerry Kennan, I rely on him quite a bit for making the right calls, but it's definitely, I think, more on Dad.
Speaking of making the right calls, you didn't it wasn't just a fuel mileage deal. You guys had some obstacles to overcome during the race. Your dad mentioned it there in the little clip we played. You had the Romeo window having some problems. Tell folks about that and how you overcame it.
Yeah, we the left rear Romeo, it ended up breaking one of the brackets off on the bed top, so it was flapping around, and NASCAR wanted us to do something as a safety concern, and so they told us we had to come in and fix it, and luckily it was still under caution. I was a little bit frustrated with it. I really didn't know that we had a hubcap come off, but I was frustrated with the fact that we had to come down pit road. I was going to restart third, and we ended up going back to about 20th, but if that wouldn't have happened, we probably wouldn't have come down pit road and topped off, so I think that might have been the race-winning call right there.
All right, we see a lot of these issues with the Truck Series becoming they're such large tracks. Drafting is important. Fuel mileage is always important. When did you start saving fuel, and is that your first time anybody's ever told you to let off the gas and you didn't want to?
No, I've gotten told to save fuel a couple times in the Truck Series. Most of these races, we try and stretch it as far as we can, whether it's a green flag stop in the middle of the race or going to the finish. So it wasn't my first time trying to save fuel. Jerry Kennan didn't know if I knew how to save fuel when I didn't say anything back on the radio after he told me. But it was definitely a stretch to get it there. But I can't thank Jerry enough for telling me to save, and he kept telling me to back off further and further. He told me about laps. I want to say it was like 10 to go. He came on the radio and started saying, all right, you need to back off quite a bit. I mean, we're already saving a little bit from probably lap 20 on, but really from lap 10 on, you got to save a bunch. So that's kind of where it came to play.
Chatting with John Hunter Nemechek, got his first career Camping World Truck Series victory on Saturday morning at Chicagoland Speedway. John Hunter, give us a little idea about Nemco Motorsports. I mean, you could hear the pride in your dad's voice there to get that win. It almost seemed like he was happier to have that than he was his own victories along the way. But give folks an idea about the team, the state of where things stand with you guys right now, and what you're looking for in the future.
Yeah, we have 9 or 10 full-time employees that work strictly on the truck deal. That's including our communications director and the people that work in our front office. So, and then that is excluding Dad and I, which we're at the shop every day working our tails off trying to get trucks ready and trying to do the best that we can. But we're just a small organization. We're kind of underfunded right now. We figured that a couple of these sponsors deals would be done, but we were in an unsponsored truck this past weekend at Chicago, so it's definitely cool to win. Just wish we had a sponsor on it.
Yeah, Joe, talking with John Hunter once again, a small shop here in Mooresville. Are you a hands-on driver? Are you a fabricator? When you say you're in the shop, exactly what are you doing there?
I can do about everything. I can weld, fabricate, run the pull-down machine, set up. Pretty much anything that needs to be done I can do or I can learn to do as I'm doing it. So I'm there every day. We work weekends. We work nonstop trying to get these trucks ready, and it's a great learning process for me to go through and figure out, okay, this is important, that's important. So you see what is important on these trucks to make them better for the future.
Yeah, an amazing talent at such an early age. Had a 23-year veteran for your dad. It's an amazing opportunity. You said your truck was unsponsored. You have a ton of support from Chevrolet, but also you had Meatball listed on your truck as the official sponsor when you listed it. Give us an idea what Meatball's about.
Yeah, Meatball, it's a real-time location app. You can now look at it on your phone when you go to these NASCAR tracks, and even if you're tailgating somewhere, you can actually put a meatball out, which shares your location with the group if you're tailgating or whatever it may be. And it uses the compass in your phone, so it'll tell you how many feet you need to step, and it'll point you right to the location instead of trying to be on the phone calling, hey, where are you? Or texting, hey, where are you? And
we've all done that.
Right to it. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well, good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John Hunter, congratulations on that first victory. Look forward to seeing you at the track some more and getting some more of these wins, and get that phone ringing and get you a sponsor.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys for having me.
There you go, John Hunter Nemechek. Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
Yeah. How about that? What a great story. We've talked about different guys getting the wins, the first wins this season, and last season we talked about it some as well. But to see the efforts and hear him describe what they go through at the shop with a small team and to finally pay it off with a win, man, how gratifying.
Back in the late 80s, I was down in South Florida, Hialeah Speedway, veteran racetrack that Bobby Allison started at, believe it or not. Before he moved to Alabama, was Hialeah Speedway. The track is no longer there. When I was racing, my dad used to videotape me with the big honking camera, VHS tape.
The old school kind, yeah.
One on his shoulder, videotaped every race.
Weighed about 700 pounds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was able to watch. I won. I was fairly successful. I won and was able to hear my dad's excitement in that videotape when I watch it.
Yeah.
It's the first time I've heard that audio.
Oh, from Joe there? Yeah, after the victory? Yeah.
And there's no greater pleasure than making your dad that happy.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when you have that pleasure of you're sitting behind the wheel and you're driving for an owner, it's your dad. It's pretty damn cool.
Pretty cool, no question about that. Looking at the points now in the Camping World Truck Series after John Hunter won, Tyler Reddick was second, Timothy Peters was third, Daniel Suarez fourth, and Johnny Sauter rounded out the top five. Eric Jones was sixth. He leads the standings now by 10 points over Tyler Reddick, by 11 over Matt Crafton. So a good tight pack there at the front.
So John Hunter sold a story. He had an issue with his truck, had to come down pit road and fix it. That's when they topped off, had enough gas.
Yeah.
Tyler Reddick's leading the race.
Yeah.
Under caution, there's a monster oil field out in the track. They thought it was coming from the 19. They forced him to come down to pit road.
Oh, no.
To look at the oil.
Oops.
He topped off. That's how he makes and comes back and finishes
he gets the second place, yeah. So the guys that had some problems that wound up helping them in the end.
Yeah, it was really very unusual because the truck wasn't leaking oil as they thought. They ended up coming out of the one truck, which they found out later on. But he was black flagged, come down pit road, put gas in it, clean the oil. There was nothing oil there, and ended up finishing second. So both the first and second place cars finished there because they had issues previously in the race, which allowed them to come down to pit road to top it off.
Go figure.
You couldn't keep track. You could not keep track. Like, how? Where'd these guys go?
A rookie leads the standings in Eric Jones. 3 other rookies in the top 10 of the Camping World Truck Series right now. That's shaping up to be a whale of a battle down the stretch here. The top 3 guys separated by just 11 points.
11 points.
Yeah.
We got champion Matt Crafton, the youngster who's almost a rookie with Tyler Reddick, and Eric Jones over there at KBM. Again, Eric Jones, KBM, Joe Gibbs relationship. Imagine that.
Yeah, go figure. All right, that puts a bow on the Camping World Truck Series. When we come back, we'll talk Sprint Cup Series racing because Dave Rogers, Denny Hamlin's crew chief, will join us on the other side of the break. Stick around.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Play to win $1 million this week and every week this football season at DraftKings.com. With 1 week fantasy at DraftKings, you can play when you want with the team you want. Just pick your contest, pick your team, and pick up your winnings. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Hurry to DraftKings.com now and use promo code COAST to play for free for a shot at $1 million in this week's Millionaire Maker event. Enter COAST for free entry now only at DraftKings.com. That's DraftKings.com.
Race fans, you know there's nothing like the power, excitement, and sounds of NASCAR. Ever wonder what it would be like to strap yourself in the seat of an authentic NASCAR race car? You can do it at the Richard Petty Driving Experience. Ride along or drive yourself at one of 15 tracks nationwide. Call Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit online at drivepetty.com. Richard Petty Driving Experience. It's authentic NASCAR entertainment. Call 1-800-237-3889 or visit drivepetty.com to reserve your experience.
Hi, I'm Jeff Burton. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Denny Hamlin leading as the white flag is displayed. His teammate Carl Edwards is third, and now Matt Kenseth is going for fourth.
An amazing comeback story for Denny Hamlin this afternoon at Chicagoland. He's off the second turn, down the back straightaway for the final time with all the room he needs.
Denny Hamlin now off the end of the back straightaway, takes that Toyota Camry to the bottom of the racetrack, looking for the checkered flag in chase race number 1.
Rock solid when it counts the most. Here comes Denny Hamlin. He wins chase race number 1 after spinning on lap number 2. He rallies back. He scores the win at the Chicagoland Speedway.
One hell of a comeback there, DH. Nice work, guys. Welcome to the chase, buddy. Great job, man. All right. God, what an amazing day. Love you, Dave. Hell of a job. Love you too, bud. Great team effort, man. Way to battle all weekend, man. I was so proud of you. You have so much character. I appreciate you a lot.
That's the way it sounded at Chicagoland Speedway yesterday. Denny Hamlin wins the first race of the Challenger round and earns his spot into the Contender round. And the man who helped make it possible joins us on the guest line now, Crew Chief Dave Rogers on the number 11 FedEx Toyota Camry. Dave, congratulations, man. That thing, when you guys spun on lap 2, your heart had to sink down into your shoes, didn't it?
Yeah, we decided to make it exciting for our fans right there at the get-go, but it was worth it in the end. What a great race for this FedEx Ground Race team to overcome adversity like that and get the initial win of the chase. Amazing day yesterday.
Dave, congratulations on the race win. I want to back up just a little bit. We've had 26 races to get to this point before we even show up at Chicago, and you guys are in the chase. When you go back to the first 26 races and you're preparing for the chase, do you evaluate those first 26, or are you simply preparing for the next 10?
I think we're preparing for the next 10. Everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing and TRD have been working extremely hard to bring the best race car to the racetrack each and every week. So our focus going into the chase is what do we have to do to provide fast race cars. Last week I was asked a lot of questions about the numbers and playing the game, the strategy, and truthfully I've put less thought into that than I ever have in the past. Probably first because we've done it a few times now, or familiar with it, or done it once, I guess, with that format. But second, your best chances of winning the chase is to provide your driver the fastest cars possible. So that's been our focus.
And one of the interesting things to me is, you guys had the obstacle of Denny Hamlin's torn ACL in his right leg. I know you had to spend a lot of time at Richmond trying to get him comfortable in the car. What kind of a challenge was that? What did you have to change to get him to where he was comfortable enough to produce this win?
Yeah, we actually Denny came in the shop the Wednesday before Richmond. We spent probably an hour and a half working on the car, changing things up. And here at the shop, we thought we made a bunch of gains, and I was really excited about it. Then we got to the track at Richmond and got him driving, and actually we had to undo most of it. We kept a couple things in there, but he was just more comfortable with what he was familiar with. Made a slight adjustment on the height of the pedal pad, but that's about it when it all boiled down. So Chicago was pretty straightforward. Just put in our normal stuff, raise the pedal pad a half inch, and called it good. And it's been pretty much a mute point on our end. Denny's done a great job of just fighting through the pain and not letting it affect his performance. During the weekend, it never came up at Chicago. Never even once came up in discussion. So it's been a mute point, which is a testament to Denny's strength.
Yeah, Dave, a lot of our listeners are completely unaware of the decisions that you guys have to make starting way before Sunday even happens. But on Friday, there was a lot of opportunity for weather to show up in that facility. Were you guys able to just stay in race trim on Friday, or did you work on qualifying, or was it completely a race trim package on Friday?
Well, I'm almost embarrassed to ask or to answer. No, we were in the same situation last year. with Kyle in the 18 car, and we swapped over to Q trim fairly early. We made 4 runs and ended up sitting on the pole from it. So going into the weekend, we were well aware of it. We were well aware of the forecast. We came off the truck in race trim. Our third lap on the track was 0.2 quicker than most everybody else, so we knew we had a really good race trim package. So we actually swapped to qualifying early. We were one of the earlier cars to get to qualifying trim, and we just didn't have the speed. Denny wasn't comfortable to hammer down, and we saw it coming off the truck. Our first lap wasn't that high on the board. Our second lap was better. Our third lap was our best in race trim, whereas everyone else, their first lap was their best, and they progressively slowed down. So I think we overthought it. I looked at those lap times. I'm like, wow, we got a good long run car, and it's going to be great for Sunday, but we need to go to a different qualifying package. So we wasted a lot of time swapping to a completely different package. And then we didn't give ourselves enough time to dial in our heights and our balance, and we just botched it in the end. Unfortunately, we were in qualifying trim. We just weren't very good in qualifying trim.
Well, all's well that ends well, I guess. And maybe you start that way every weekend if this is going to be the result of it. We're chatting with Dave Rogers, Denny Hamlin's crew chief on the FedEx Ground Toyota. They won the opening race in the Chase at Chicagoland Speedway on Sunday. Let's talk about the end, Dave, because you guys took a gamble there, rolled the dice, and decided to keep Denny out when you had a bunch of fresh tires behind you. What led to that call, and what made you feel good about that decision?
History. If you go back and you look at last year's race, they had a series of 3 caution flags at the end, and they went green with about the same number of laps we're going to go green with. They had about 22 green flag laps. So last year was 22 green flag laps and 3 heat cycles, and the guys that stayed out won the race. So I knew that going into it. And then earlier in the race, we took on tires, and we were towards the tail end of the field, and looks like that back half of the field took tires on, had a tire advantage over the leaders. I really thought we were going to leapfrog them, and we never did. The tires just didn't prevail. So looking back at last year's history, looking back at what happened earlier in the race, I thought that if we stayed out, we gave ourselves a shot to win, and we gambled that we might get chewed up and maybe fall back to 8th. But our takeoff speed in a pack on stickers, we seemed to give up 1 or 2 spots. So I thought taking tires was a sure bet for a 5th, 6th, 7th place finish, but I didn't think it would actually win the race. So we went for the risk versus reward ratio there. I was surprised to see the 10th, 11th, and 12th place guys pit. I thought they would have seen the same thing I saw, and I thought they would have maybe stayed out and provided a buffer. A little disappointed when I realized that didn't happen. But Denny, and I can't say enough about him. He's got so much poise and character. He could have, in those situations, it's really easy for the driver to get down and kind of beat himself mentally. Oh man, I got tires lined up around me. I'm in big trouble. Play the old woe me game, and then bite yourself. And he didn't. It was what it was. There was nothing we're going to do about it. He just manned up, got it done, made a heck of a move on the 24, and got underneath him, put that clean air on the nose of the FedEx Toyota Camry, and that's what she needed.
Yeah, you were talking about Denny's poise at lap 2. You guys spun without a minimal amount of damage, essentially. How poised was the entire crew? In my opinion, it shows poise, but did you have to really work on Denny and or anybody else during that event?
No, I am. Man, it's probably one of my proudest moments in racing, to be honest with you. I am super proud of this race team, all the guys, the pit crew members, the crew, the drivers, the whole team. Going into the Chase, we talked about it. We talked about adversity. If you go back through and you look at the championships, the 48, for years, people have said that they got the golden horseshoe. And you go back and study, and it's really not true. They just handle adversity really well. You look at last year in the 4-car, you got tangled up at Martinsville and wrecked out and had to win Phoenix to win the championship. You go back to the year that Tony Stewart won it with Darian Grubb leading it. They had nose damage on the opening laps at Homestead. They had to come down and make multiple repairs and drive to the front. So to get to the championship and to be a contender for it, you have to deal with adversity. That's just part of the ball game. So we've been talking about that and working on it and being focused on it, being intentional about it, I guess. And the opening race of the Chase, we found ourselves in adversity. So it's like, wow, what a better test. You know, if we can't overcome it here at Chicago, we probably won't be able to overcome it at Homestead either. So I thought it was a great test for us, and I think that the team gets an A+ on it. Everybody handled it really well, and we proved to ourselves that if we handle it well, great things can happen from a seemingly bad situation.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of adversity, way back at the beginning of the year, Joey mentioned the first 26 races. A lot of guys on the Toyota side were saying, man, we're just missing something. We're missing something. What changed to get you guys to the dominant position you've been here for the past month or so? All 4 Gibbs cars, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the standings right now. What changed? What did you guys do to get out of that and get to where you are now?
Yeah, please tell us.
Joey's got his pen ready to take some notes.
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Everything but the door numbers. Yeah, everybody at Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota have been working extremely hard. There's no doubt that Toyota is bringing a lot more power to the track. You know, we don't like to discuss it, but hey, face it, reliability. Our engines have been somewhat bulletproof. I know we had one problem a few weeks back. But in general, our reliability has been strong, and we're not compromising power to get that reliability. And then everything on the race car, you know, everything that makes it go fast, and the guys that we're competing against know what that is. You know, you're trying to just build the best race car possible, and I think every department here at JGR has buckled down and said, what can I do? What can our department do to make this race car a little bit better? And it's that cumulative effort that adds up. And that's the frustrating part when you're getting beat. You know, right now it's easy to say that because we're running well, but last year it was hard to say that because we were so far off, and we knew it wasn't one magic bullet. We weren't missing one thing. We just needed to pick up everything a little bit, and that's what everyone here at Joe Gibbs Racing and Toyota has done this year. We've picked up every department.
Well, you're in the contender round officially. Your driver sent a picture on Twitter this morning of him wearing that new hat. So you have 2 races to go, Loudon and Dover. Are you going to want to be do you want to compete heavily? Do you want to be a spoiler, or do you use those races as a test for the next 2 rounds?
No, we're going to compete. You know, you want to capture as many wins as you can. I think it just builds momentum. It builds confidence. It keeps everyone excited and motivated. You know, that's the thing when, you know, everyone here at Joe Gibbs Racing, they have so much character because they put all that effort in over the winter when we were losing. You know, we were getting beat, and these guys dug down. Well, now we're winning. You got to see how motivated these guys are. I mean, they are so hungry. They want to work so hard. So we want to keep that up. We want to keep bringing home trophies and keep our guys here at the shop motivated. But then you look at this schedule and you realize that you know, Loudon, you can take some stuff from there to Phoenix, although Phoenix has changed now, the track configuration, new asphalt. But you can start to build the notebook from Loudon to Phoenix. So we want to have a good race at Loudon. And then Dover is a animal of its own. It's a one-off racetrack. There's not a whole lot that applies from there to other tracks in the Chase. So all you're doing is going out there and competing for the win and trying to have a little fun. I think the Chicago win just opens up some doors on pit strategy. You know, we can get really aggressive. We can make some crazy gambles. And if it doesn't pay off, then, oh, well, it didn't pay off. We tried. But as far as car setup and car selection and all that, we're sticking with what we set out a few weeks ago.
Well, competing and having fun so far seems to be the recipe. You guys pulled it off at Chicago and now are already ready to move into the next round. Dave, congratulations, and we really appreciate your time today.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you having me.
Good job, Dave. How about that? And what a feeling to get that first one. You guys did it last year.
Yep.
To know now you're already in the next round so you can start playing your cards or getting things lined up correctly to get into that next round without the stress and the worry of, are we going to make it?
Yeah, we had several range of emotions from different drivers, but those guys went from the very bottom at lap 2 from a spin, not wrecking their car, to the very, very top of that mountain by pulling that FedEx Camry into victory lane. So kudos to those guys. It's an amazing accomplishment, and it puts Joe Gibbs Racing. They're pretty good. Yeah.
You think?
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Okay.
They have a hold on the top 4 spots currently in the chase.
Absolutely, doing very, very well for sure. We got to take a timeout here on Motorsports Monday. When we come back, on track, off track. Stick around.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
The following is a message from ToyotaRacing.com. Toyota Racing is all about speed and precision, including this ad and our official site, ToyotaRacing.com, where you can find exclusive NASCAR content and videos, series information for our NHRA, Off-Road, Toyota Pro, USAC, and motocross teams. Way too many details about all of our drivers, including Denny, Hamlin, and Matt Kenseth. Complete race results, a constant reminder that you'd rather be watching NASCAR right now. Cool as heck Toyota Racing t-shirts and keychains. Twitter updates, a way to connect with other race fans. Tons of photos of Toyota drivers and their crews in the winner's circle. What can I say? We like to win. Links to other Toyota websites, obviously. In-depth articles, and most importantly, a site to visit when you're pretending to be working but actually are daydreaming about the smell of burnt rubber. Come on, admit it, that's probably what you use it most for anyway, and we're happy with that, just as long as you keep cheering for Team Toyota. If you have any other questions, believe it or not, there's also a section for that at ToyotaRacing.com. Ooh, I'm dizzy. NASCAR is a registered trademark of the National Association for Stock Car Auto Racing, Inc.
Hey, I'm Austin Dillon. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
Austin Dillon figured prominently in the goings-on this weekend, didn't he?
Yes, he had an interesting weekend. To say the least, yes.
To say the least,
yes.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk on track, off track now, where Joey and I look back to the weekend and talk about some things we feel are going right and some things that maybe aren't going so right. For you, on track, what do you got?
An unscheduled doubleheader on Saturday gives a race fan a humongous opportunity, a fantastic opportunity to have one day at a racetrack, pick up all 3 series. I know it was unscheduled. We've seen it in the past. We run 2 different series in the same day because of weather issues. I wish we could schedule these.
What a valuable ticket.
Right. 9:30 in the morning, you show up, watch a truck race. After the truck race, you get to see 2 Sprint Cup practices with all the cars and stars of current today.
Yep.
And then you roll right into an Xfinity race, which gets done 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. You're there from 9:30 in the morning that starts the race to 9 o'clock at night when that Xfinity gets done. A 12-hour day at a racetrack. I don't know how it gets much better. And I believe because the Truck Series showed up 2 days before, they could give those guys a 2-day show with inspection and practice and qualifying, whatever it might be. But I really wish there was an attempt to go with a double header for the trucks and Xfinity Series.
The only drawback I would see to that is if your schedule is that tight, what if there is then rain on Saturday? Where are you going to put the truck race then? And you got to get an Xfinity race in. But I like the idea. From a fan standpoint, what a value, what a bang for your buck there.
Yeah, maybe they can do it without a Cup weekend. In other words, maybe we don't need a standalone Iowa race for a truck when the Xfinity guys are in Chicago.
Yeah.
You know, if you could go at least get a doubleheader just to be able to have a night race, day race. It's just everything all wrapped up in a nice little bow.
My on track is chase intensity. I know we saw it last year, but right out of the gate this year, you see we talked with Dave Rogers about the call to not take tires at the end. Guys rolling the dice, swinging for the fences. Speaking of swinging, then you see Jimmy Johnson and Kevin Harvick going at it after the race there. The intensity has ratcheted up right away, race 1 of the Challenger round, and I like that. I think that gives it the playoff atmosphere that other sports have.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Last year we saw a driver that ended up becoming the champion got mad at a previous champion because he wasn't going to talk to the driver.
And was that where Harvick came from?
A year later, he's the guy that won't be talking to the 6-time champion. So it's funny how the old double standard, the irony of it all is. So you got to be careful. It's hard to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You know, the old saying is, you know, you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes. One thing, you're a mile away and you got their shoes.
It's a twofer.
Yeah,
you got them
exactly.
both. It's BOGO day here. We had seen earlier that there was some word from NASCAR that there wouldn't be any penalties or anything. I think what we got into last year was a shove is okay, a punch is not. So then you get into, well, what was that Harvick did?
What's the proper vernacular? Is it a punch, shove, jab, push?
Yeah.
Whatever
what is
it was.
Yeah.
It's, the best thing is they can't get away from cameras.
No, no matter
They're
where you
everywhere.
go. That's the motor coach lot.
It's like there's drones flying around.
Don't say that, or there might be some more down the road.
You're right.
Okay, for you, what do you got for off track? What didn't you like so much?
One of the things this weekend we've talked about over and over and over was the restarts. What are we going to do, and how are we going to fix the restarts? It's a rule. There's a line. You go, line. Skirts, side skirts. Last year we heard, don't mess with your side skirts. Here we are again. We had to add a camera. We had to add an official for the restart line.
Yeah.
We had to get another warning in the driver's meeting about side skirts. I grew up with my parents. My parents didn't count to 3. They didn't go, don't make me count to 3.
Don't make me come up there.
Yeah, don't make me turn this car around, right? There wasn't don't make me. It was, if I'm counting, it's because you're counting after the birds are flying around because you just got hit in the head.
Yeah.
You know, a little spanking didn't hurt.
Now, let's be clear. This wasn't because they weren't scolding you, because that did happen,
Yes,
I'm sure.
exactly.
Okay, all right.
So my issue is, let's just enforce the rules we have. Stop warning drivers. Don't do it again.
We really mean it this time.
Right. We had a restart rule. We had a camera. We have officials looking at cameras. It took us 10 laps to review whether Jeff Gordon jumped to start or not.
And then ultimately they said he did not. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? If this happens at the end of a race with a green-white checkered and the car that wins the race is sitting in victory lane,
and they're still reviewing?
They're reviewing a restart.
That would be bad.
It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
The line is here.
How do we fix this? How do we fix it?
You just enforce the rule. There's a rule. We all know what it is.
Yeah.
The side skirt rule. Don't quit warning these teams. Can't pull the side skirts out. We've heard this is race 27. It's not new. They were talked about in January. They were talked about in February. We're in the 9th month, the 27th race. Quit talking about it and just enforce it.
I think that was a lot of the comment we heard around Bristol time, I think, is when this flared up last. There was a lot of questions in the drivers' meeting about it, and one I remember specifically was Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying that very thing, enforce the rule that you have.
That's all we're asking. We don't need more rules, more equipment, more officials to enforce a rule that's already here. We have it. Just enforce them. That's all we're asking.
The discrepancy to me seems to be from what the drivers are saying is that the leader feels like they don't have the advantage that they've earned by being the leader now, which is leading to this.
Okay, well, again, we can mousetrap this and reinvent whatever you want. For when it comes to a restart, when it comes to side skirts, stop warning.
Right.
Just enforce whatever the rule is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not arguing I don't like the rule because I don't really like the current restart rule.
Yeah.
But it's a definitive rule.
Yeah.
The side skirts, I don't care about side skirts. In other words, we're all doing it just because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah.
But there's a rule. Enforce it. It's no different than when you roll through templates, when you roll down pit road for speeding, whatever other rules that they're enforcing, just enforce the rule.
Yeah.
When they come out and say, guys, we don't want to get involved in the restarts, it's their series. They're the governing body. They're supposed to be involved.
By definition, you're involved.
Just enforce the rule. That's it. Yes or no, black or white, period. Let's not keep creating a larger mousetrap with more cameras and more officials and warnings. And I'm going to count to 3, and that's the last time.
This time I really mean it.
Right, right. This is my mean face. I mean it.
Well, remember, with the side skirt thing before, it started slowly. Just a few guys were doing it, and then we had a couple of crew chiefs telling us, no, that really does make a big difference.
Sure.
And before you know it, everybody's doing it, and that's when they started to clamp down. But now we're drifting back.
Well, again, enforce the rule.
Enforce the rule. Okay. Enforce the rule. So what are you saying? Enforce the rule?
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. My off track, and I know this is something to consider for down the road, but on Friday at New Hampshire, apparently NASCAR is going to have a meeting with the teams, the drivers, to talk about the 2016 rules package. We've heard a lot of good positive things on this show from drivers and teams about the low downforce package. A lot of the drivers are firmly in support of that. A lot of people have disparaged or not looked so favorably upon the high drag package. What we keep hearing is maybe the high drag package is not dead yet. I think we need to drive a stake through that thing's heart. It didn't perform well. The 2 tracks we saw it at this year, it didn't seem to lead to the pack racing that they wanted. The low downforce package was much better racing, much better on the track, much better visually for fans. Please, let's kill this high drag package.
Somewhere, some state, some city, some guy, some female, possibly. I'm not disparaging.
Yeah.
There's a person behind this computer that came up with this package that still believes it can work.
That's like Spicoli in Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Dude,
I can fix it.
That's it.
I can
My
fix
dad's
it.
got an awesome set of tools. Okay, I remember.
Yes, I can fix it.
Okay.
You can't fix this,
The guys that are using it are saying it's terrible.
Yeah.
only they won't say it's terrible.
In an interview, they'll say it behind the scenes.
Correct.
Yeah.
We haven't heard one driver, crew chief, crew member come out in public and go, it's terrible. What idea is this, and who thought of it?
We keep hearing, well, at least we tried it.
What you do here is after Darlington, after Kentucky, everybody's running around naked with excitement on how they loved racing with this package.
Yeah.
No, I was there.
No, okay,
Yeah.
all right, good.
Yeah.
But they do love it.
They
really
love
do.
it,
and they're not
very
shy about saying it.
Exactly. What they are shy is without getting in trouble, because unfortunately you have to be careful of what you say, and that's NASCAR's right. It's their series. They don't want us bashing the series, but you're not going to get any compliments. I challenge you to find a compliment about a package after Indy and a package after Michigan.
Right.
Somewhere there's some person, male or female, that's still working vigorously because it was their idea. Let's
get rid of it.
Nix
Yeah,
it.
get rid
Done.
of it.
It
All
doesn't
right.
work.
There you go. On track, off track for another week. You can send us questions along the way via Twitter at MRN Radio. Mine is at WI Cain. Joey's is at 2Spotter, the number 2. Use that hashtag AskMRN, and we'll get to your questions along the way. Got a few more minutes here on Motorsports Monday. We'll look forward as we get ready to head to New Hampshire after this.
This is MRN Motorsports Monday.
Dale Jr. here. I wear Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans for any occasion. With new styles and great fits, you'll look good and feel comfortable anytime, anywhere.
Wrangler Advanced Comfort jeans are built with a U-shaped construction, so they give you more room where you need it. And their 4-way flex technology moves with you for all-day comfort.
In the garage or out and about, Wrangler knows the ins and outs of comfort. Wrangler, real comfortable jeans.
Whether you long to see the majestic Rocky Mountains or the warm sandy beaches of Florida, get there in a Tom Johnson Camping World RV, the nation's #1 rated RV dealer. Tom Johnson's service and selection are second to none, with one of the largest inventories in the country, from pop-ups to motorhomes. Check out the RV of your dreams wherever you are at TomJohnsonCamping.com or visit our locations by the Charlotte Motor Speedway and the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Hey, I'm Jeff Gordon. Now back to Joey Meier and Woody Cain on Motorsports Monday.
As the white flag is displayed, Kyle has a 5-car length lead over Kenseth in turn 1.
Kyle Busch now is on the hammer, and fuel mileage is not a concern. He is going to drive it home now. We'll see if he makes it. The lead is up to 7, making 8 car lengths on the backstretch.
Plus the lap car of John West Townley between the top 2. Here's Kyle Busch for the final time through 3 and 4. Under power and looking for the checkered flag.
Matt right there, but he is not close enough to do anything with Kyle Busch. Here he comes across the stripe. He'll see the checkered flag and win for the 74th time in his career.
As we mentioned, Kyle Busch led 102 laps, won from the pole in the Xfinity Series at Chicagoland Speedway, but Chris Buescher leads Ty Dillon by 25 points, leads Chase Elliott by 28 points in the Xfinity Series. They head to Kentucky Speedway this coming weekend.
Yeah, one of the confusing things in the Nationwide or Xfinity Series, is that you have a split owners drivers championship. In the Sprint Cup Series, we have the same ability. You have an owners championship, we have a drivers championship, but you don't split time with drivers. So in the Xfinity Series, we see this a lot. We see an owner, as Team Penske does, put multiple drivers in their cars, as Joe Gibbs Racing does. We see Roush Fenway puts one driver in their car, so the driver can win a championship and the owner can win another championship. So we see 2 championship battles this weekend in Chicagoland. Chris Buescher has a stranglehold right now on that series for several weeks, and he's battling for it. Joe Gibbs Racing is battling a owner's championship with Team Penske. Ryan Blaney was in their car. Kyle Busch was in their car. Team Penske guys took a big hit with an unexpected tire failure with that 22 car early on in the race. So Kyle's not only racing for the race wins, which every time he races, he wins, for goodness sake.
Seems that way.
Again, those guys are pretty good.
You think? Yeah.
And they took a big battle, big victory lane, took a big points with Ryan Blaney, but Chris Buescher also was able to beat his cohorts with the Dillons and the Chase Elliott's to battle for those championships. So it's intriguing. If you can get into it, it's almost like a fantasy football thing.
Yeah.
You don't really see it going on until you actually go back and look at the points list afterwards.
Yeah.
And there's 2 separate points lists, which right now Team Penske is leading the Owners' Championship. Roush Fenway over with Chris Buescher is leading the Xfinity Drivers' Championship.
And as we mentioned, they head to Kentucky Speedway this coming Saturday. Meanwhile, the Camping World Truck Series and the Sprint Cup Series both head to Loudon, the New Hampshire Motor Speedway, to get ready for this weekend's race.
Again, if you have a chance to go to Loudon, New Hampshire, it's a quadruple header. We've got Sprint Cup Series, we got trucks, we have modified racing, we have late model racing, a fantastic event to get up there and see racing every single day. It's stacked on top of each other. Great short track racing, a little bit like Phoenix, as Dave Rogers mentioned too. Extremely fast, long straightaways, tons of braking. Drivers are going to be complaining about can't get through the center and can't get off the corner.
Yeah, very flat and very difficult to get a handle on.
Exactly right. We've been successful there in the past, and we've been bad in the past. So it'll be interesting to see exactly which part of our car shows up. We've won this race. We've swept the weekend before in the Xfinity and the Sprint Cup Series with Brad. Team Penske's been strong there. Joey's won there in the past. So we go there with a lot of high expectations in Loudon. We need to continue as a team with the two-car to just have good points days. I hate saying that.
But it's the truth. It's a path to make it to the next round, and that's the goal.
Correct. But once you get to the next round, once you get out of the Challenger and you go into the Contender Series, then you really have to start concentrating and buckling down to get wins, to get to that Eliminator Series where you have to have a win almost to move on.
Yeah, except for Ryan Newman kind of just proved it last year and darn near won the championship without winning a race.
The only reason it worked for him is because some of those other guys had big issues and then points became. But if nobody has problems, you're going to have to get a win to move forward.
Yeah, and there are some the places along the way, particularly Talladega, where you guys got the must win, where you look at it as a wild card race where craziness can happen and guys who have been running well can have a big problem.
Yeah, what you're hoping for, like a Talladega, where that's in that round, you're hoping to be solidified in the next round before Talladega shows up.
Yeah.
And you go up there and you just enjoy Talladega and not have the pressure of having to win. Fortunately, we hit a walk-off and we were able to win that race, go to victory lane, and move on to the next round.
Yeah.
But Loudon will be a very, very good test to see who rebounds, like Kevin Harvick looking for a rebound, and our two-car looking to rebound because we had a very unexpectedly poor performance. Even though we finished 8th and Joey finished 6th, neither car performed as expected.
Still 9th in the standings right now for you guys in the two-car, 13 points out of the lead, but you look a little bit further back where you start to see some guys like Jeff Gordon, 21 out, Jamie McMurray, 24 out, Menard, 25 out, Boyer, 27 out, and Kevin Harvick, 43 points out. As you were talking earlier, he really needs a win in one of these next two races to feel secure.
To feel secure, he has to have a win. The guys that are right there at 11th and 12th with Truex Jr. and Gordon, they're looking at points. They're points racing. They want to win. So you have all these drivers that want to win. We only have 2 races. Somebody's not going to win.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely going to happen.
It's easy to say, well, I'm going to win this race, but somebody's not going to win, so points matter for those guys.
We talked a little bit about it with Dave Rogers there, and he says they're going to try and win and still try to get trophies. But you went through it last year. When you get a win early in a round, it's a sense of relief almost because now you know no matter what happens in these next 2 races, you're still going on.
Yeah, you experienced it in the first 26 when you got a win early in the season just to make the chase. So you got to experience that relief early in the season. We won California, which was the 3rd race of the year.
Well, you won Chicago last year as well.
And so anytime you win and it advances you somewhere, you have a sense of relief as a race team. Dave Rogers made mention of it. They get to swing for the fences. They don't care.
And he said if it doesn't work, oh well.
Exactly right. They'll do 2 when everybody takes 4. Take 4 when they take 2. Stay out. Don't pit. They get to have fun. They get to roll the dice, play with house money for the next 2 races.
It's like Rodney Dangerfield and Caddyshack. They're all buying, then sell. Do exactly the opposite of what other guys do.
That's it.
As we get set to head into the Camping World Truck Series, don't forget we'll have that one for you Saturday afternoon here on Motor Racing Network. Check MRN.com for all the listings there. We'll have all the schedules for the week for you. All our other shows going on. You can play along with us on Twitter at MRN Radio. Use that hashtag AskMRN. But the Truck Series coming down toward the end now, as we mentioned as well, very tight along the top. Those guys are going to have a couple of breaks coming up here. They're running out of races.
Yeah, it's 11 points, 11-point blanket over the top 3 drivers with Eric Jones, Tyler Reddick, and Matt Crafton. Neither one of those drivers can afford any kind of problem. A simple pit road speeding penalty towards the end of a race, you lose 10 or 15 points or positions. It could be catastrophic. And when at the end of the season, if you lose this championship by those 5 points that you may have lost on pit road, you'll be kicking yourself for the entire offseason.
And how about the way that this one played out, though? John Hunter Nemechek, we had him on the show earlier, gets the win. You mentioned Tyler Reddick comes home in second because they got sent to pit road because of an issue.
Sometimes you get lucky. You'd rather be lucky than good, but you want to be good these next handful of races with this truck series. We have 7 more to go. Again, rocking my Cooper Standard shirt with Austin Theriault. We get to have him for the rest of the season. His learning curve will be extremely steep. He's been able to run a handful of random races where your learning curve is kind of flat. You're just trying to get the experience of what a truck is. So now we have him for the next 7 races. Can't wait to work for him. Loudon will be our next race.
All right, that's where the Sprint Cup Series heads as well. Once again, the Xfinity Series heads to Kentucky Speedway, and we will be right back here next Monday on Motorsports Monday to tell you all about it. Don't forget, you can catch us on the YouTube channel. Look at MRN.com. There's a YouTube button at the top. You can see all our video streams for all of our shows during the week. Check it out there. I'm Woody Cain. He's Joey Meier. We'll see you right back here Monday at lunchtime for MRN Motorsports Monday.
You've been listening to MRN Motorsports Monday. Tune in again next Monday at noon for all the latest news, results, and interviews from NASCAR on MotorRacingNetwork.com. MRN Motorsports Monday is also available on demand at the MotorRacingNetwork.com Media Center or download it from iTunes or Stitcher. MRN Motorsports Monday is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.